Hey everybody, welcome to Side Quest, the episodes we do when we're not doing regular episodes of Authors and Dragons. I am Drew Hayes. Joining me today is Rick Wilterry, Robert Bevan, and Steve Weatherall.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
Such enthusiasm and joy, which feels oddly appropriate for our topic today, because we're going to be talking about amusement parks and rides and that whole experience, which does start out with a lot of energy, but I kind of feel like you guys did a good job of encapsulating that spirit right around 4 o'clock when the last of your strength gives.
4 o'clock. I got 3 kids, man. Dial that back about 3 hours.
Rick's like, I don't see breakfast, motherfucker. So, but I guess before we dig into specific, let's just sort of go around. Anybody have any favorite amusement parks that just sort of have been a constant in their lives, whether they're still around or not? Shout out to Astro World, all my fellow Houston area people. That was a great park. Fuck you, Six Flags Corporation, for shutting it down and selling it for parking.
I don't think Six Flags touches anything and makes it better.
It's a fucking garbage company.
Yeah. But I will say one of my favorite parks is King's Dominion down in Virginia, which is nobody's really ever heard of it. It gets no press whatsoever, and mostly because it's a half an hour away from Busch Gardens. But
that's a rough one.
Yeah, it is a fucking awesome park. It's huge. There's tons of good rides. And it is like, and the good thing is, since everybody goes to Busch Gardens, you can go to King's Dominion and just ride on everything and have that much more fun without having to wait on the fucking lines.
Oh, Rick, we're not doing ourselves any favors here. I only have one amusement park that I ever regularly went to, and it was King's Dominion.
Motherfucker. Can I change my vote?
I went to high school and college in Richmond, Virginia, and that was our park.
Oh, not just a King's Dominion, that King's Dominion.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, that's worse. That's so much worse.
Oh.
It started out as a joke. How like you two were.
It's getting fucking weird now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's starting to get a little
Starting
creepy
to
at
not
this point.
be a joke anymore.
It's going to be a Twilight Zone episode.
Eventually, it's always going to be one character with 3 personalities. It turns out Klaus is just another.
I'm gonna sit down and try to write the next bill book, and no matter what I write, it's always gonna be Critical Failures 8. I'm like,
You might get it done before I do.
I'll send it over if I do.
Thanks.
I've been to Busch Gardens. We got stuff in England as well. Alton Towers is a big one. Shit. Sort of kind of like notoriously shit. So lay that one out there.
I had Astro World, and I miss it. Water World was right next door. It was super convenient, amusement park, water park, right there. But I'll also shout out Splashtown, which is also kind of in the Houston area. Used to go sort of around that with my dad a lot. I still distinctly remember. It's like, go in, all right, it's great. The food here super overpriced. Leave at lunchtime, go to Subway, walk right back in.
Well, if you want an amusement park where the food is actually decent, like decently priced, and they actually put a little effort into it, Knoebels in Pennsylvania. It's almost like, kind of like a family fair that like never packed up and moved away. And I mean, it's also kind of one of those fun parks where they have big roller coasters and they have absolutely no like you go to a Six Flags and they're gonna tape you into the chair with duct tape. You go to Knoebels and they're just like, seatbelts. Who the fuck needs seatbelts? And they just hit the go button and you're like zooming out.
Oh, I have a specific one for you, Rick. Given your geographic location, any history or visits to or stories of the infamous Action Park?
Yes, I actually went there a couple times in my youth, and as a young child who healed quickly, it was a lot of fucking fun. Like, you'd go there in the morning, you'd do a whole bunch of things, you'd leave bruised to fucking hell. But being that I was like, at that point, like, I don't know, 10 or under, I healed quickly, so it was all good. If like they still had Action Park open today and I tried it, I probably would maybe make it till about 10:30 a.m. before being dead.
I might be crazy. I think they do have Action Park again. I mean, it's not the same, but I think
No.
they reopened.
Yeah, I mean, there is something there, but yeah, it's not the old Action Park where they just gave fuck all to like anything and just said, yeah, it's like, oh, you're missing a leg there. I walk it off.
God. Okay, so that was local ones. Let's go more to best amusement park you've ever been to. Like if you get one redo, what would you pick?
I'm still gonna stick with King's Dominion. That's
Yeah.
that was my go-to, and I think I've only been to a couple others, and yeah, King's Dominion.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kings Dominion actually isn't local to me. I just like it because it's a cool park. But if I had to like go to like, if you were basically just hand me a free ticket to go to anyone right now, it would probably be Universal Studios because as cool as I want to pretend I'm not, goddamn Harry Potter Land is fun.
We're gonna talk about Harry Potter a little bit later in the podcast, Rick. I happen to have been to a Universal Studios recently and had a very, very compelling experience with the Harry Potter ride. But we'll dig into that when we get to more specifics. Steve, what about you? Oh,
Oh, Harry, show me the Elder Wand.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If I had started spraying vomit out of every orifice, dick included, I wouldn't have been that surprised.
They're taking a weird niche turn in the old erotica genre there. Oh well. I think I'd probably choose Universal Studios as well. I just generally like the vibe of the place. It's got some cool rides. I like all the old movie stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But they're not quite as top shelf as the classic American parks. So yeah, I'll go for Universal Studios.
If it's a magic ticket to just any park, regardless of logistical limitations, what the hell? I'll use my magic trip to go back to Astro World one last time and revisit my youth and probably be wildly disappointed by the realities against the memories I've built up in my head. But what the hell?
And you'd probably be depressing as fuck there, just going up and being like, "Hey, can I have a corn dog? Haha, you won't be here soon."
You don't really exist. But
I'm actually sitting in my basement, stoned out of my mind.
if magic is taken out of the equation and I'm doing a repeat anywhere, it almost seems such bullshit to say this, but it's the fucking champ for a reason. It's Disney World, man. I've been to the top of the mountain in terms of theme parks.
Disney World is great. Yeah.
Last time we went to Disney World, I didn't have a really good time, and I think part of that was because, of my family.
I don't know how much you could put of that on Disney, man.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's like there's a picture of us in the park where they're all just standing around, and I'm taking a picture of them in front of Cinderella's castle, and they all look exhausted. And it was kind of like one of those vacations where we were just on, like, well, okay, I'll be honest, I was on the go, and I was just dragging them with me. And by the time we made it to Disney, they were all exhausted, and I was like, come on, it's Disney, let's have fun. They're like, we just want to go back to the house. And I was like, you're all bringing me down.
Should have just went by yourself, man.
I have to say, as someone who can be a little overly planny and a little anxious, like Disney is amazing in the terms of how much control they let you take If you're aggressive about getting everything squared away like I am, it really allows you to scratch that itch. Like, you can be scheduled down to the ride and just like have all your shit taken care of and have nothing to worry about. You're just like, oh, I've built the perfect vacation for myself. Now I just have to ping from place to place on this little schedule I made with no thought, only enjoyment.
Drew, if I can ever afford it, I may have to talk to you about this.
Oh, you will. It is insanely like the systems and everything are very like complex. Like they're great, but like you have to be a little bit insane in terms of like planning and research to love it the way I do. But if you have that itch, it really lets you scratch it. So I think all right, that brings us through our big one. So all right, let's dig into specifics. Rick, I know you love rides.
Yes.
And I think if we're going to talk amusement parks, that feels like it has to be the starting point. I mean, when you think of an amusement park, that if there's not rides, that's a fucking carnival.
You know what used to piss me off? I used to work at Six Flags Great Adventure when I was a teen, and they would bus in the Mennonites from like Pennsylvania. No, Mennonites in general don't piss me off.
Okay,
But-
yeah, I thought this was going to a dark place.
No, but the thing that would
Fucking
drive
Mennonites.
they would show up to the park, and Six Flags is not a cheap park. They would show up to the park and not do anything, and like they would walk around and just kind of look and be like, oh, like say, oh, look at those sinful rides, and then not go on them. And I was just like, why bother? I'm like, if you want to just go and like look at something without touching it, go to a zoo. It's a lot cheaper. And I just never understood that, which, in all fairness, maybe I don't understand that mindset because I'm one of those people that, okay, you stick me in a park that I've paid like $60 to get the fuck in. I'm going on those fucking rides. I don't care what my God is telling me.
Dude, live and let live, man.
Me and God have definitely had some conversations on rides as I've gotten older, especially. Yeah, well, for anybody who's not familiar, I am very prone to motion sickness. So riding amusement park rides is a real gamble for me. But I'm curious, has that hit you as you've gotten older, Rick, or have you been able to maintain the passion?
No, it has definitely hit me. When I was younger, I used to go on spinning rides all the time, like rides like the
Oh.
Rotor, the Roundup, all that shit.
Tilt-a-whirl, baby.
Yeah, it's like now I'll go on like the fucking Buccaneer, like the pirate ship like swinging thing, and I'll come off and just like, and if somebody was like standing at the exit with a gun and said, "Here, if you want to blow your own head off," I'd be like raising my hand there. Yeah, it just sucks because my equilibrium used to be great. Now it just betrays me, and it's really sad.
I've always had this crippling fear of heights, but ever since I was a kid, and when I was young, or like really little, and my parents like made me go on rides, it pissed me off and made me cry and stuff, and it was I brought down the whole mood for everyone. But around in high school, when I started, I guess it was like it must have been when I was paying for my own tickets that I don't know, I got really excited about it. I said, damn it, I'm gonna go on a roller coaster, and then I got this weird addiction to it, and it was like, oh great, these are awesome, I love these. I'm still enormously afraid, but I love it. But and then I hadn't been to an amusement park since maybe early years in university, but I took my kids to, I think, Six Flags 2 summers ago, and I was all like, nope, that's not happening. And but we did go on one, and we went on one because we were there for 3 hours, and we spent that entire time in that one line. But yeah, and it went up pretty high, and we did it, but it wasn't the highest one. There were some I wasn't prepared to go on, no matter how short the line was.
You know, it's just as bad, Drew, as like the spinning thing, because I can still do coasters just fine, but wooden coasters that will just beat the living shit out of you. now those hurt.
Oh yeah, jerky movements destroy me. One of the Like I have a few rides that like stand out in my mind as like that have absolutely fucking just destroyed me. Um, one of them is a Harry Potter one. We'll get to that. But the most it's the worst one because it's like you get no respect for feeling bad walking off of Star Tours, the Star Wars tour simulator. That old piece of shit rattles and jerks around so much. It's like you're a fucking can in a paint mixer. Oh god, like I stumbled out of that thing, and that was in college. Like I had a much better tolerance then than I do now.
My youngest son, he loves the wild. Whenever there's a wild mouse ride, he loves going on it, and the rest of the family hates that ride. So I always wind up having to take him on it. And the thing with like those cars are pretty much built for somebody who's about a foot shorter than me. So already it's uncomfortable, but it's like, okay, jamming my legs in, jamming my arms in, and then we're going around, and then it's like everything is just turned. So it's like, okay, slam into this, slam into that side. Yeah, it is amazing how much going on a ride these days reminds me of my mortality.
There's a sharp curve of it's like, oh, this is fun, this is fun, this is fun. No, 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 no. Steve, yeah, let's hear your ride thoughts.
I don't mind roller coasters in general when they're kind of like, hey, this will be fun. But there's some designed just to deliberately terrify you. I'm thinking, I don't really want to be terrified, you know? You want to be excited, you want, kind of rushing around everywhere like you're some kind of Superman on LSD, but I don't know, there's one in Alton Towers which is just a giant loop. And you go around it one way, and then you go around it backwards. And I'm thinking, why would you do that to yourself? That's got to be like some kind of simulation for dying and just, experiencing the void. And it just seems like it's not fun. It's just like somebody designed a ride because they hate humans. But yeah, like standard roller coasters. I haven't really been on one for a long time, I'll admit.
Oh man, AMD Con does Disney World. That'll be a fun, I don't know, video series maybe. We'd have to YouTube that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the rides that look like they've been designed by people with a soul. They're all right. But when it comes to stuff like, this thing just takes you 1,000 feet in the air, turns you upside down, and drops you. It's like, if I want to do that, I'll just kill myself, man. That's cheaper.
Weirdly enough, the drop rides are my favorite. Those, for some reason, do not fuck me up. Up and down, no issues. I can do Tower of Terror and Superman all day, every day.
The drop rides are probably the only ones that actually terrify me.
It's just like there's somebody's in a meeting. It's like, let's design a fun ride for everyone. Okay, what are we going to do? We'll just fucking drop them. We'll just fucking drop them off a roof.
I know. There's something about that weightlessness. It's addictive. Like, I like that feeling.
Yeah, I can see that, but it's just a principle behind it. It's like there's no joy there, Drew. There's just somebody who's had a bad day in the old joy meeting room.
Oh, I don't know, man. Tower of Terror is pretty fun.
I've never actually been on any of the big fancy drop ones. I'm talking more, I guess for me it's the more kind of erring toward carnival style ones.
There's two burly guys who drag him up to a roof and just push him off.
Yeah.
You like rides, do you?
That'll be 3 tickets.
Fuck you, kid.
The Six Flags ones I'm thinking of, like, they have the Superman theming, but there's no, like, it's just, all right, this is Superman somehow. All right, get on.
It's like, yeah,
and you go
I
up
get to pretend
and drop.
I get to pretend to be Superman. It's like, no, you get to pretend to be Lois Lane. See ya, boot.
Have you guys done the Superman rides that are essentially the inverted coaster where they essentially lie you, like, they stretch you out so you're kind of like lying vertically, so it's the idea is you're supposed to be flying?
Yeah, I like the idea of that. That sounds fun.
They have one of those at Great Adventure here in New Jersey, and it's actually one of their better rides.
Yeah, sounds good.
The line is fucking monstrous because the problem is because the way it is, it takes like 12 times as long to load a car because they got to get people in the car, strap them in, and then lift them up, stretch them out, all that shit. So yeah, it's one of those things where like it's a fun ride if you can get it with a short line, but it's one of those where if you see it, oh, this line shouldn't be too bad. Yes, this line will be bad.
Oh God, the idea of one where you're laying down. Actually, this is an excellent transition. The issue with laying down is that if you start to feel bad, you are in a very unfortunate vomiting position. So let's talk about Universal Studios Harry Potter ride, because I got to check that out. For anybody who doesn't follow me on social media, I was recently at Universal Studios. I did the little back of the lot tour, and I got to go see the Good Place set, which was part of, well, pretty much the whole reason I went to that.
Oh, nice.
And it was fucking awesome. Like, weird as hell to like be on those streets, but cool. Much smaller than you think it will be, but also realer in some spots than you think it will be.
That's strange.
While I was already at the amusement park, I of course checked out the other stuff, including the Hogwarts Harry Potter world. And that is a ride in which you are sat down and then tilted back. So, like, onto your back, slightly inclined up, so that if you should start to feel sick in this highly motion intensive, very visually blaring ride, then you're gonna vomit on yourself. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're at an angle and moving at a speed that if I throw up, it's immediately hitting me. Like, it is, like, right, which I guess is the fairest way to manage vomit on a ride.
Yeah.
Eat your own dog food.
But I wouldn't have minded, like, just the capacity to lean my head over the side. Maybe that would have been a good option. It was. I've been a little bit like, the Universal Studios are all kind of like that. They're big green screen, move you around, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd been feeling it a little bit on the one so far, but I've been kind of okay. This one was like, oh, if you're queasy, you worried. I was like, I don't know. I've been holding up all right. I took a Dramamine. It's probably the same as all the other ones. Oh, what fucking hubris. Wildly wrong. Wildly. Like, within the first 10 seconds, I have to shut my eyes because every ounce of my focus is now going into not feeling as sick as I'm feeling. And by the end, it's just me willing my stomach to remain closed. It finally ends. I'm with a buddy, and like, he takes one look at me. He's like, "Oh, holy shit, are you okay?" I'm dripping sweat. Like, I was my whole body was clenched and tensing. I stumbled to a trash can, like, walk out. We're like with sort of a group of other people, and like, they all just look at like, "Oh my god, you look horrible." Like, yeah, I feel.
Harry Potter managed to do what multiple successful book launches did not.
Yeah, I have gone on shot binges and never come that close to throwing up. Oh god, if you are remotely prone to motion sickness, stay the fuck away from Harry Potter.
It's a solid endorsement.
All of it, the movies, the books, all of it. Don't take chances.
Somebody just sitting down for Harry Potter book, just going, I'm
going to tell you right now, Drew, once we finally get that cocaine statue of J.K. Rowling, if you puke on it, it's really going to ruin the experience.
Not for me.
No.
How about you guys? Have you ever lost it? You ever had a particularly bad or memorable ride experience?
Well, speaking of puke management, and I do like the kind of, the selfless puke management where it just gets you. But I used to really worry about the ride that was the complete opposite. I don't know what it's called, but that ride where it spins around really quickly and everyone sticks to the walls and the floor
I love that
lowers.
thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love that thing as well. It's great. But I always thought, somebody yaks up now, everyone's getting it.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't even know how the physics would work there, but I think if it was at the right time, it would be, I don't know, evenly distributed so everybody gets some.
Yeah, that's one of those rides. Somebody pukes, you all taste the rainbow.
So that was my constant. I wasn't worried about the ride. I loved the ride, but at the back of my mind, it's like, if somebody can't hold it here, I'm going to have a bad day.
That's wild. Yeah, you're right. That's a complete trust exercise.
Same with that, what was it called? The Berserker. Or, yeah, it's called different things in different places. The one with the big boat that goes, back and forth, up and until it goes all the way around in a full circle. Like,
Ooh.
yeah, if somebody pukes at the top and you a lot of people could catch it on the way down.
Yeah. Or you could just, it might just be this perfect physical point where you puke at the top and it just lands on your own head.
Yeah,
It's like, that's karma, motherfucker.
that would be a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Puking on yourself.
They used to have this one. I mean, I think they still have it at Great Adventure, but they just changed the name a million times. It used to be called the Enterprise, and it's a spinning ride where you're in a car, and they're like 2-person cars, and there's a cage around you, and it starts spinning horizontally, but then it starts lifting up vertically. So eventually, when you're spinning upside down and stuff. And
Yeah.
I used to be able to ride that all day long. And I remember there was one time I was pushing my luck. I was already not feeling good. I'd already done a couple of spinning rides. And I went on that. And I made the mistake of going on that with my kids. And I got off and I was just like, Daddy's done for the day. In fact, Daddy's going to sit here on this bench, lament the fact that he paid to come into this park and and hate himself a little bit while you go have fun.
I think at King's Dominion that was called the Apple Turnover, and it was my favorite ride. Yeah, I don't have any problems with motion sickness at all, but heights I do not enjoy.
I was just going to say, did you ever see, you talked about the kind of pirate ship thing that goes upside down?
Yeah.
It's the thing you get where it's just 2 pods, and all they do is just go round and round and round, and just constantly kind of swing you upside down.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's kind of similar. I mean, the looping pirate ship or starship, however they do it, is just like a way to fit more people onto that.
Yeah, those things.
Yeah,
I remember.
huge.
Again, I think I went through the same stage as Bevan, where suddenly and inexplicably became brave about those things, and going on one of them, and having the time of my life. But now every time I go to a fun fair or something and see something like that, I just think, holy God, that looks fucking awful. There's astronauts who get fucking paid a lot of money to go through that shit. I'm not doing it for free.
It's not free. You're paying for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the funny thing is, here's the thing: these rides are kind of designed to make you think like that. And but the reality is, especially in the major theme parks, most of these rides, not all of them, occasionally do get a dud where they just build it incorrectly. But most of these rides are so over-engineered that it's ridiculous.
Well, I don't know. We had a near fatality a couple of years ago at one of our big parks. Somebody lost their legs.
Ooh.
It was a big grizzly, and that was this highly sophisticated computer system, which was still undone entirely by some underqualified 15-year-old they paid to operate it.
Yeah,
As I'm given to believe. I won't mention the park by name.
When I worked at Great Adventure, we had our share of accidents on the rides, and almost always it was because, and not even saying the ride operators, it was almost always because somebody going on the ride decided to be a fucking dumbass. like a regular just wooden coaster with a lap bar. It's like one of those. Well, it's under normal circumstances, you're fine in it. But yeah, if you're going to stand up and try to sit on the lap bar, you're probably going to die.
Yeah,
that's all right. That's natural selection. Yeah, that's fine. This was more like a ride malfunction, which I think is the thought of that does terrify me. I will admit.
I will admit it. It's most of the time this ride works fine, but when it malfunctions, your legs are gone.
It's there's a 99.999% you're gonna have a really good time, and the 0.0001% this is gonna be a fucking awful experience that will be told around campfires for the rest of the
There's
duration.
a slight chance you might get off in 3 pieces.
This might be the moment you look back on your life and say, God, if I could only change that one decision.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever gone on a ride and it turned out to be something different than you were expecting?
Give us an example of what you mean.
Yeah, I might need to.
Okay. So usually roller coasters in the dark, indoor coasters, they kind of universally almost always suck. because it's kind of like, the whole thrill is, oh, you're in the dark, oh, you're going through this thing, but the reality is it's just an excuse to house a really not particularly good coaster. I mean, even Space Mountain in in Disney, if you take away the darkness and the special effects, it's pretty much a kiddie coaster. So there's one down in interestingly enough, King's Dominion that we got on line for, and it's a coaster in the dark, and I forget what it was called, but we got on it. They buckled us in, and we're like, all right, this is gonna be another stupid Wild Mouse in the dark, and instead it was fucking insane. It's like, next thing I know, I'm like upside down, I'm going through turns, I'm being spun around, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So that was one of those things where somebody said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to build a coaster in the dark, and everybody's going to think this sucks. And then they're going to get on it, and they're just going to shit a brick, and it's going to be glorious.
I think I remember that one. I don't remember what it was called, though.
And Busch Gardens in Virginia, one of their coasters actually has a section of track where you just drop straight down after going forward and stuff. And if you don't know what's coming, it kind of catches you by surprise. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, they're tapping into that, holy shit, this ride's gone wrong. Niggling doubt that everyone has.
Is this part of the ride? I thought so, but now I have no legs.
Is this supposed to happen? Really too late to do anything about it now. Yeah. I got the opposite that turned out to be, because obviously I didn't know what the Pirates of the Caribbean ride was the first time I went on it. I just knew that we queued for days. I remember going through and thinking, there's a lot more kind of singing than I was expecting here.
I don't know why that tickled me, but it did.
I kind of wished that story was I was drunk and then I was wondering why all these stupid pirates were singing at me.
I've got a good one for a ride that surprised me. Disneyland Radiator Springs over in the little Cars Land section. It starts off feeling very much like a lot of the things you see at Universal or some of the chiller Disney rides where you're in a car and you're going along this track and it's here's a set piece and an animatronic, and then turn and then another set piece and animatronic. And it's fun, but it sort of feels like that type of ride, that it's more a display ride than anything else. But then near, I don't know, halfway toward the end, whatever, you go out onto this track section and they're like, oh, we're getting you ready for the big race. And then when it takes you out onto the track, there's another car of people that have been, I don't know how the thing syncs up, but it puts you there. And it's all right, time for the race. And then it shoots you the fuck off. Fires you down this strip, and you go barreling down this long track that you're connected to, and things are flying out of the way, and it's all real and practical effects and stuff. And it's just this completely unexpected, holy shit, there's a roller coaster now. That one caught me way by surprise.
That would be great to design a roller coaster that you get on. And it just kind of catapults you out of the park. So you think, oh wow, that was an incredible surprise, and then you realise, oh, I have to pay to get back in the park now.
This is how they get you. This is how they get you.
Be the first ride you go on. Oh, that looks great. Oh, those motherfuckers.
Just keep doing it because it's so much fun.
It's I was wondering why it was called the parking lot.
Yeah, I can't really think of any other unexpected rides I'd had. That was pretty much it.
Me either. I pretty much knew what I was getting into.
Yeah, most of the stuff's pretty well advertised.
Or visible.
Although, yeah,
that's
visible.
true.
When you're standing in line for 2 hours, all you got to watch is people doing the shit you're waiting for.
Yeah, you've got time to know what's going on.
Except for that ride Rick was talking about, where it just shoots you off into the dark, and yeah.
If it's shrouded, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, technically, we could have been waiting for an hour to just get to at the end, it's just okay, so you want a slice of pizza or a hot dog or something.
I tell you, it is wild sometimes. If Rick, you've been to the Disney World, so you're familiar with the fast pass system they do. So
Yep.
sometimes you can just you make an appointment sort of ahead of time and you go in and you take a shorter line, whereas the other ones are like, 2 hours long sometimes for a ride. And most of the time you're like, okay, well, waiting in line for 10 minutes with this fast pass to go on this little, Seven Dwarfs roller coaster, totally worth it. That was 10 minutes well spent. If I'd been in line for 2 fucking hours for this, I might light something on fire.
Yeah, it's like, it's a small world after all, but it's a long fucking line.
The only ride I've ever gotten off of and looked at like the 2-hour line and said, you know what? Worth it, was Pandora Flight of Passage. Holy shit, that thing was insane. Like that's the only time, and that is cutting edge, makes you feel like you're flying a monster over a lagoon thing, and still just barely worth 2 hours. Like, just barely.
Well, I mean, what the family and I would try to do during the summer months is we'll try to, like, the theme parks in the area, or if we're gonna go down to Virginia, we go in the middle of the week. And let me tell you, that is the most awesome thing. You go to a park, it's a Tuesday, everybody else is at work. You just go on those rides and it's like, hey, it's 2:00 and we've fucking done everything.
Even better, in the middle of the week when it's just rainy enough to where they don't shut down the rides. I don't give a fuck if I'm getting soaked. I didn't have to wait for shit. I've been on this roller coaster 7 times in a row. I didn't even get out of the car.
Yeah, we have a park close by, like Dorney Park, which is a decent park, but we've kind of overdone it. But it's one of those ones where if we go there and it's like, yeah, we know all the rides, we've been on all the rides, so if we can either do the park really quick, and if there's a line, fuck it, we've been on the ride, we don't have to go on it anymore. We don't have to care.
That's what it's all about. Just doing things so you don't have to care about them anymore.
I mean, lines suck. I mean,
yeah, lines are the worst.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, so kind of transition. Well, okay, before we jump off of rides, because the rides are a big one. I do want to ask, like, so anybody have just any rides that jump out in your memory, like when you think of an amusement park ride? Like, I think a Flight of Passage is like the best one I've ever experienced. But if I were just thinking of like what's my all-time great amusement park rides, maybe Texas Cyclone, out of the good old-fashioned Astro World. I still miss that coaster. And then second to that, I guess I like the Superman at Six Flags.
I'd say at both King's Dominion and at Carowinds, which is kind of their sister park, they have these 350-foot tall, like, giga coasters. And those just stand out for me because they're huge, they're fast, they're kind of fun. But those are the only rides I've ever gone on where I've felt myself on the verge of passing out just from, like, G-forces.
What coaster are you talking about, King's Dominion?
What's it, like it's like Infiltrator 305 or something? I forget what it's called.
Shit, you must have been there more recently than me. I don't remember that one at all.
Yeah, it's friggin' huge. I mean, it's one of those ones you will know it if you look up, and if you have a fear of heights, you will not want to go on it.
Yeah. You might have just mentally blocked that one, Bevan.
No, because when I was there, last time I was there, I was all gung ho about it. I go on anything. Nowadays, I probably wouldn't.
I have a sentimental spot for the old Back to the Future ride back in the 90s. I like rides like that kind of rely on a narrative and an imagination kind of aspect to them. They're a lot of fun. And they're not as scary as the ones that make you think you're going to die. It's like, I'm not going to die. Doc Brown's here. He wouldn't let me die. So,
and then the terrorists show up and shoot them, and you're like, oh, well, maybe we're all going to die.
That's a real interesting mental choice there, Steve, considering that arguably the entire series is based on how incompetent Doc Brown is.
Well, I was a kid. He was a man in a lab coat. Just you do the association, don't you?
That's what Marty thought.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, I was probably too young to put that together. I didn't realize how fucked up Marty's life would be.
That'd be great. Steve gets on it. Oh, this will be great. Doc Brown will take care of me. And he gets off and his entire family has been erased.
Well, this was a mistake. Yeah, I do. I remember that. It's probably hopelessly outdated now, I should imagine. But I should imagine there's a lot of cooler stuff out there in the same vein. But I do recall that ride fondly. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's the Apple turnover, and it was discontinued while I was still going to the park, so that's long gone.
Oh,
Bummer, man.
Oh, did you do their standing coaster? I think it's called the Shockwave.
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you, if you really just do not like your own genitalia, that's a good ride to go on. You could get the exact same experience. Just find a little kid in the park, hand them $1, and just being like, just headbutt me in the crotch again and again.
You just gotta lube it first. Then it's a whole different experience.
Oh, you talk about a ride. Yeah.
Good. All right, so speaking of things that need lube, Rick brought up lines. And boy, those... Look, I work with the segues I have.
Speaking of not wanting to talk about this anymore.
Hey, look at that change of subject.
I'm sorry, guy. I'm working on a shingles book right now. Boner Bob's all-purpose lube is on my mind.
I don't know if that's a teaser or foreshadowing, but whatever.
Or a threat.
Yeah, enjoy it, listeners. So, line sort of brings up, it's a weird one to touch on, but I do sort of want to just talk about it because it is a growing part of the amusement park experience. Is sort of logistics, the amount of convenience or management that are put in. So I know the Disney system is the Fast Pass, in which you sort of make appointments for your rides. They control the number of appointments in a time frame to make sure that the line is never long. It's always a consistent experience, but that means it's a very booking heavy thing. It comes with a ticket purchased. If you have a ticket to Disney, you have a Fast Pass. And then the Six Flags one is Flash Pass, where it's just a shitload of money, and then you can just pay to cut the line. There's no funneling system, so it's not as consistent or well managed, but it is very, I guess, nice for wealthy people, I assume.
You're hitting on a sore spot there, because I fucking hate that they gouge you to get into the park, and then they're like, oh, but if you don't want to wait in line like the peasants, you could pay more. And it pisses me off, because I've also seen those assholes who like get the flash passes fuck up lines for everybody else, because they'll get up there and then just start arguing, and then it's like, okay, 15 minutes later, why are we still not on the fucking line ride? Yeah, I like the way Disney does it, but in general, the whole pay to cut the line thing kind of just pisses me off a little.
Yeah, Disney's is I mean, good, because it's part of the ticket price, so I mean, everybody can use it. And then the way they restrict the time frames and everything is like, oh, it's if you make an appointment, if you miss it, well, too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, like Disney's feels like it's thought through. Six Flags feels like they're like, how can we gouge these people for more?
Okay, you know what Universal Studios is? Universal Studios is if Six Flags still gave a fuck. Like that was my impression walking around, because I was like, this like it feels like about that Six Flags level, but not tattered and worn and like a decade past maintenance. Because that's fucking Six Flags. It's just, it's the laziest, cash grabbiest bullshit. So I was kind of wondering, though, like, King's Landing, I don't know anything about those parks. Do they have any sort of management system in there, or do they ape one of the known systems?
Almost I'll be perfectly honest. Outside of Disney, who I like the way they did it, almost every park I've been in has kind of aped the Six Flags model, which is, give us more money, we'll let you cut the line.
In principle, I can see why they might think it's an attractive offer on their part, and particularly like on the give us more money part. They probably say give us more money, and then just kind of mumbled some bullshit after that.
I mean, I don't like it, but it makes sense to me. I mean, you go into an amusement park, you're there to spend a bunch of money, and they got a perfect opportunity to gouge you. I mean, before that was even a thing, your only option was wait in lines.
But at least everybody was kind of equal in that regards. Like
Yeah.
I envision a day where the parks just say, hey, if people pay to cut other people, what if we have like a diamond flash pass where you can cut the people who are already cutting the other motherfuckers?
I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, I should add, Universal does. I don't know exactly how it works, but they have a similar, I think, to the Flash Pass system too, where it's just like, here's the express lane, you rich motherfuckers.
I like the idea of scheduling it. That's all. That seems very neat. It seems like an efficient way of doing it, and I don't mind a little bit of class system going on as long as it's kind of efficient and works.
If you're gonna do that, just don't even pretend. I would say, here's the express entrance for the people who paid twice as much. Oh, and here's the observation deck where you can spit on those still in line.
Here's the real park those poor people will never know about. It's it's one-way glass. You can see them suckers in the so-called park from the luxury of the real park, the proper ride.
And here's a vending machine if you want to throw rocks at them.
Here's the food we wheel out to their stalls. You can spit on it as it goes by.
Oh man! So have you guys caught any other interesting logistical things like that, like the line management? I don't know, just any interesting tweaks or things that make an amusement park stick out to you?
I will say, when an amusement park goes out of their way to one, put interesting things on the line and also provide maybe a little bit of shade, you have just turned it from a hellacious experience to a tolerable experience.
You see, there you go. Thinking back to the Back to the Future ride, they had the little movies playing with people, the actual actors from the movie, doing a nice little narrative background to the ride. And I do, again, recall that fondly.
My deepest fear is that I'm going to get into an hour-long line, and then by the time I am actually getting onto this ride that's going to shake and rattle and toss me about, I'm just going to be bursting with piss. Just like a swollen balloon of urine, and then it gets jiggled and tossed about.
If you're on a Harry Potter ride, it's going all in your face. It's in your own face. And that's fair, but it's also nobody wants that.
I'm like, I'm not going to throw up. I'm not going to throw up. And I just piss out of my mouth.
You just get on there and you're just a human water balloon.
I just look like a broken sprinkler.
It must happen. I mean, and I've never seen it happen. Maybe we're getting into campfire story territory here, but it's got to happen.
Well, here's the thing. Anything like that happens, they got to close the ride. So if you've ever been on a long line and then the ride suddenly inexplicably, it's closed, it might have been a mechanical issue, but there's a good chance somebody either puked or shit themselves or something, and now they just got to disinfect the entire thing.
Oh, wow. That's something to think about.
Have you guys ever actually seen someone shit on a ride? I've never caught that show. Thank God.
I know. No, but I've never seen it. But it must happen. It must happen.
I'm going to tell you this right now. If you go to an amusement park with little kids, all sorts of stupid shit can happen.
Rick's like, I've seen turds thrown at mascots from 100 yards away.
I'm not going to say which of my kids, because I don't want to embarrass them. But I was at one of the amusement parks with one of my kids, and every 5 minutes, you got to go to the bathroom. No, got to go to the bathroom. No, got to go to the bathroom. No. Okay, let's get on this line. Suddenly, there's this drizzling sound, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And they're just taking a piss right there. And I'm like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to walk that way and lose ourselves in the fucking crowd.
Wait. Just for clarity. They didn't piss themselves. They decided to piss where they stood.
Well, they were wearing a swimsuit, so yes, they kind of pissed themselves.
Okay. I was like, it's a bold move to just take it out and start going. Like that's a power move. That's asserting dominance.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to piss yourself anyway, you may as well just make that statement. You can turn an accident into an aggression.
I mean, here's the thing: if a little kid's doing it, nobody's really going to say anything. I imagine if an adult
course.
does it, you have just cleared out that line, and you have made your own fast pass.
The ultimate fast pass.
That's when you discover the secret of theme park police.
Make way, urinating man.
Well, that was funny thing is. When I worked at Great Adventure, they used to have the undercover cops go in there just to make sure you were doing your job. And I remember just this one incompetent one comes up, and he's buying a bunch of stuff, making a big purchase, paying with a big bill, and he's trying to make small talk. And the small talk's kind of fishy. It's along the lines of, "Wow, you're dealing with a lot of money here. You ever get tempted?" No. And then the guy pulls out his wallet to pay, and I see his ID there, and I'm like, "Oh, so you work in the park? What are you, one of the secret shoppers?" Like, "I don't work in the park." I'm like, "Dude, you just flashed me your fucking ID. I'm not an idiot."
Maybe I'm qualified to be a secret amusement park cop. Actually, I'm 1,000% sure you were qualified to be a secret amusement park cop.
Yeah. Considering Columbo, there's his performance. I have no doubt I could have done equally as bad.
Hi there, fairground staff. I don't suppose you ever get tempted to steal from your boss, do you? Just to make a conversation.
How do you do, fellow?
Hello, citizen. I am a ride goer just like you.
Hypothetically, if I shit myself right now, what would be the appropriate response?
I think the most hilarious thing I saw that while I was working there was I was working next to one of the roller coasters, and it was one of those walk-ups, or when you're on part of the line, you're walking upstairs and you're above the rest of the line. And a woman comes up and she's complaining. She's like, she comes up to my stand, and it was a drink stand, and she's like, I want you to call security. And I didn't have a phone there. I was like, I can't call, but if you go over there, she's like just bitching and screaming, and I'm like, and I couldn't understand what she was angry about. Then I looked up and I realized somebody had dumped an icy on her head and it was still there. So she's yelling at me with this stack of cherry ice on the top of her head.
That's bizarre.
And at that point I was just like, this is surreal, and I'm going to start laughing. I need to get this person away from my stand now.
Oh, they are wild times. Boy, I didn't mention this on rides, but I feel like I have to. I maybe it's efficiency or what, but it's really weird to me that Disney is so aggressive about scrubbing everything connected with Song of the South. No, not that part. That part makes sense. It's weird to me
Fucking liberals.
Yeah. It's weird to me that they're so aggressive about it in every capacity, except Splash Mountain. In which case they just full on have the characters from the cartoons. Splash Mountain is all about Song of the South's theming.
Oh my god.
Brer Rabbit, there's the fox, it's all about the Briar Patch. It's like, woo, boy, you guys have worked really hard to wallpaper over this, and then left one patch with neon on it.
And after Tomorrowland, kiddies, we're going to go to Racist World.
This is where those people go to bathe once a year.
Oh, I had to call that out on rides, because that still puzzles me. It's like, it's just one person just really hanging on, because they are so adamant. Well, anyway.
Speaking of amusement parks and times long gone, not quite related, but I used to work in my shitty local theme park, and that had been there it was kind of a semi theme park, but it was also just a general country park, and that had been there since Edwardian times, when it was a kind of park that rich people built to assuage their conscience about the children dying of chimney illness or whatever they got. And I was in charge of putting together kind of a historical pack about the place. And have you ever seen the photos of that old-timey playground equipment that looks like something out of some kind of
I know what you're talking
military
about.
training camp? It's like seesaws that are essentially just a huge iron girder with about 50 children on them. And some of them about 20 feet in the air, just inviting calamity. And I thought that was an unusual callback to times gone by and what people used to do to entertain themselves, which is apparently climb up a 20-foot vertical pole. And I don't know, maybe they just fell to their doom, or maybe they didn't. Maybe only the strong survived. I don't know. But
well, I mean, that was the whole premise behind Action Park. You went there knowing that, oh, this is a ride that nobody comes off unbloodied, yet you'd get on the damn line anyway. Like the Alpine slide, you could pretty much still see, like, you know, like you could see, like, you know, like going down that ride. It's like, oh, what is that? Like, you know, a dark spot on the grass? Oh no, that's like that's like a slice of skin that's just lying there. that's somebody's thigh.
Action Park. I've never heard of it, but it sounds like a shitty parody of a park that people made to make fun of this sort of thing.
Yes.
The thing was, it was a serious park, and it was super popular too, because it was both a wet and dry park, so there was water rides and stuff. And the water rides, holy shit! I mean, the water rides were a good place to like kill yourself too.
Why is the water pink?
It does sound like kind of like, well, what should we go on next? I know, the cinder block on a chain in the mud pit.
Yeah.
Way. Yeah, just an invitation to lose teeth.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we've talked about rides, we've talked about the lines, the streamlines, the logistics. Time to get into food. From the humble funnel cake all the way to the fancy shit. Amusement parks have food. Some terrible, some pretty good. Anybody have any strong impressions that hop to mind on this one?
I don't buy food at amusement parks because I'm cheap and it's not even good. But we did go to a Ren Fair earlier this year, and they had a giant hot dog called the King's Weiner.
Oh my God! How could you not buy that?
Yes.
Yeah, I totally bought it. Yeah.
Did you buy it for everyone else and say to them, "Here is the King's Wiener. Please put it in your mouth"?
Did you sample the King's Wiener?
Oh, I sampled the King's Wiener. The King had a fine wiener.
See, I would have just bought it for everyone else. I would have said, "Here's a King's Wiener for you. Put it in your mouth. Here's a King's Wiener for you. Put it in your mouth. Here's a King's Wiener for you. Put it in your mouth." And I'm having nachos.
These are people that know how to sell me a hot dog.
Excellent. They know their target audience.
It's me.
It's you. I would have bought a King's Wiener as well. Yeah.
My favorite thing at amusement parks are the big ass, like oversized soft serve ice cream cones. And those always piss me off, because what I should do is just be a selfish bastard and be like, Daddy's getting one for him because Daddy knows how to eat this shit. But instead I'll get one for the kids and just it just be like, well, now I got to find a place to hose you off.
You can't even eat it right. Yeah, I know exactly how you feel there.
You ate $3 of a $20 ice cream cone.
There is that too.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned this before, but in English amusement parks, there's always some donut seller that sells slightly undercooked donuts that they basically pour half a bag of sugar onto, and they're hot and squidgy and terrible and nice. That's my favorite fairground food.
You've definitely never mentioned that before.
I'm sure I have. I mention these things all the time.
When did fairground donuts come up previously?
We talk a lot. We talk a lot of shit, Drew. We go in a lot of different directions.
You're not wrong about that. I'll give you that much.
How about you, Drew?
Oh man. For old school amusement parks, it's got to be the funnel cake. I love a good funnel cake, man. It is classic and solid. You know, the rest, it was sort of just whatever looked the least shitty at the time. Lately though, they've, like, some of the amusement parks, not Six Flags. If we're talking about something nice, just assume we're not talking about Six Flags. Boy, I didn't expect this to just be us shitting on Six Flags as much as we are, but to be fair,
it's like anti-sponsorship.
Yeah. That's what you do with shit. You pile more on top of it. But like Universal and Disney have been like stepping it up. There's interesting stuff. Universal has like, especially like in Harry Potter Land, they have like there's some fun foods and like a butter beer you can try.
Oh, the butter beer in Harry Potter World, that is the fucking best. And like you can try to find like, like I guess clones of it outside of there, and all of them are disappointing.
I had the frozen one. A friend gave me that tip ahead of time, and whoo, that was tasty. Oh, but so, they've sort of been stepping it up to some of that interesting stuff. Has King's Landing or any of y'all's preferred ones added that in, or are they kind of playing the Six Flags level?
Haven't been there since.
What a lot of them are doing, I think, is bringing in like outside franchises, and then fucking it up, because Six Flags, they had a Johnny Rockets there, and I was like, okay, I like Johnny Rockets, and it's better than the sad little burgers that they sell at these other places. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get lunch there, and I went there, and no, it was just Johnny Rockets in name. They were selling the same sad little burgers, except like for like $6 more.
Oh, such a pain in the ass.
I mean, you can do cheap food well. I mean, well enough. Everyone else does it. I don't understand why a theme park suddenly goes, well, we've already charged them $50, so I guess we have to charge them 10 times more for this burger that looks like somebody's slapped their balls on it for 20 minutes. It's just, you can do cheap food and not fucking bum me over it. Come on, man.
Taint steamed.
Taint steamed burger.
Oh.
Are those grill lines? No.
Yeah.
Stretch mark lines.
So I guess if we're going to talk about food, we have to sort of throw out the Disney one, because they have like a bunch of fancy celebrity chefs that have come in there in the last few years, and they have the most interesting thing, which is the dining plan, which is when you're booking your tickets, you can pay for your meals in advance. And depending on the one you get, you get counter service, sit down credit, and then like a snack or what have you. So you show up and it's like you don't pay for food. You've already paid for it. You just sort of use your meals as desired, which again, if you're like me and you love just getting all your shit done in advance, it's very nice. It allows you to pre-budget everything in advance. Because you're just doing credits that you've already paid for.
Now, some of the parks, and I went to Hershey this summer, and they definitely do, like you can pay for do a meal plan ahead of time. We never do, because it's kind of like, okay, I'd rather pay for a disappointing meal while I'm there and have no choice versus the bitterness of knowing I've prepaid in advance.
The one thing I like about it is like when you do the sit down credit for them. It's not aggressively expensive worked out, but it comes with an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert. And that was really fun because it kind of made everybody in the party like try more stuff than they would have normally. It forced some branching out, and I did enjoy that aspect of it. But I can easily see like if I knew the area better and was like capable of building a plan with specific pricing, I probably could have come out cheaper in the long run, but it would have been more work with knowledge I didn't have. So I don't know. I appreciated that kind of easy package option.
I like this whole planning thing conceptually. I've never experienced it, but just the whole thought of I can have all the stress of decision making while I've got the stress of my stressful shit, and then when I'm going on vacation, I don't have to make any fucking decisions at all.
There's a plan.
This is awesome.
Oh yeah, once as much as I can, once I'm usually on a vacation, I'm trying to run autopilot.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
I can understand that.
Even if you just scheduled out like the first half of the day and then left her wandering around aimlessly for the rest of it. Yeah. No, like Bevan says, I conceptually like that.
Like none of you are going to do it, but in theory, it's a fun.
In theory, it's a brilliant idea that I'll never do.
No, I'm totally gonna do it because I I want to take my kids to Disney World like before they're 40.
All right, you heard it here first. Authors and Dragons does Disney World. I guess we're gonna start planning that.
That is not what I said.
Yeah, the downside of Disney is fucking expensive.
Oh yeah, it is.
You can do all this shit in advance, but you are paying for it.
That's why that is not what I said.
We'd need a heck of a Patreon tier for that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably in the same bucket as Bob. I mean, last time I went to King's Dominion, I got lucky in that I found like the last day of a deal where it was kind of like, hey, if you buy this ticket for an off day, you get it at like toddler price or something. So we got like 5 tickets for like $15 each. It was great.
That does sound pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, now that we're done with the boring food part, we can move on to the more interesting subset of food and drink. So, what's the booze situation like out at King's Landing?
You have said this park like 5 times and you've not got it right once. King's Dominion.
King's Dominion. All right.
Dominion.
There's also a King's Landing theme park thing.
Yeah, there is a King's Landing. I think
I would love to go to a Game of Thrones theme park there. It'd have to be along the model we discussed earlier, with a rich half and a poor half.
They just lean all the way into it.
Yeah. Just, here's your peasant hat. You probably will be pissed on. There you go.
Yeah. The people that get to cut the lines also get to piss on the other lines.
It's like, hey, you want to buy our Fast Pass Plus, in which you can punch the poor people.
Here's your male gauntlet. And,
it's cutbacks to the scene of like Rick's kid peeing, but this time he's got the fancy pass. No, son. That's quite all right. That's your privilege to do here.
I've got the mountain pass. That means I can kick the shit of whoever I want.
Like there's a surf pass, like they have to like carry your stuff. It's like, but the ticket was only $5, so coaster's a coaster. God, we gotta stop. Somewhere out there's an amusement park owner taking notes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, so King's Dominion. Any interesting booze going on out there?
Not while I was there. I mean, there probably was, but I wasn't partaking.
Wait a minute. Okay, so they didn't sell Kirkland Light.
This was high school.
I think like those parks, because King's Dominion, Dorney Park, Carowinds, those are all owned by the same company, and also like this. There's the Six Flag parks. I think almost all of them have kind of like a beer garden in it where you can just get some like overpriced, watered down stuff. But I mean, yeah, it's kind of like I'm already here. It's a hot day. I'm like just want to get on the rides. I really can't see any reason why I would want to do that.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever, like, during the day when I was appreciating the park, want to drink. But I do have a story, like a vague memory of being a kid, going to the park at night, and it was all really exciting, but most of the stuff wasn't open. And then there was just kind of like, I had to wait with my brothers and sisters at a certain point. My parents were like, you can't come into this area. We'll see you in a little while. And now that I think about it, it's like they were just getting hammered while we were just kind of standing around. Because that happened a lot like in England, but I guess it was like a much more fancy experience to have to desert us to go get drunk in Disney World.
We're going to drugs and orgy land, kids.
I mean, Disney does literally have drink around the world at Epcot, where you go to each different nation and you drink a different drink there.
Well, yeah, but that would have to be my day. I couldn't mix and match it with doing normal human shit. I'd have to be like, right, this is me getting fucked up, and then we're gonna have to find another ride based around drug use, and another ride about picking up strangers.
Yeah. And in all fairness, that might be the only way to do Epcot and make it tolerable.
I loved Epcot because that's what we all did was we just ate and drank our way around Epcot, and it was really fun. But boy, I definitely saw some people with kids doing drink around Epcot, and like, let me put it this way: is it really an amusement park if you don't see at least one couple have a drunken argument? Maybe I'm giving away too much about Texas amusement parks with that one.
No, you're gonna see angry motherfuckers at amusement parks no matter what.
Yeah. Someone says the B word. Someone says you're a failure. My mother was right about you. It's all. We all know this dance. We've all seen it by the funnel cake stand.
Bunch of rich people on a balcony laughing at them. We've got a fast pass.
Oh, I will say the thing that got me the most of butterbeer was the best drink at Universal by a mile. Non-alcoholic. Is there an alcoholic version? I didn't really look around hard enough because I was kind of shaken from the ride. But Rick, you would probably know that better than me.
I did not see it. I mean, and the truth of the matter is, I mean, I was thinking like if I could have smuggled some of that butterbeer out, like getting that home and putting some rum in it, I think that would have gone really well. But I didn't notice it while there, and yeah, the butterbeer is really fucking good.
Yeah, that was really solid. The Disney drink, hands down, was there's a Grey Goose slush that they put in like a plastic martini glass, so you just feel like the biggest bougie piece of shit. I love it. It appealed to the white trash in me, and I killed like 3 of those things. They were
Nice.
delicious.
So, look, I haven't really been following this. I've been trying to put it together. Can I get hammered in Potter World? Is that a thing I can do? Is that just like a section for me to get drunk and punch a wizard?
They definitely have beer. Like there's alcohol at Universal Studios. That is the thing. I couldn't find any specific Harry Potter themed alcohol. Butterbeer is non-alcoholic.
Oh, fuck that. What I need is like a separate experience, safe from the everyday experience, which is kind of like, I don't know, just some seedy drinking club, but Harry Potter themed. Where is the,
Just to be clear, butterbeer in the books was alcoholic, wasn't it?
No, it's not, because the kids are drinking it from like.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're British.
This is I read these books a while ago. I thought they went out and got drunk. No,
I don't think they get drunk. Fire whiskey is the one that has. Also, why did you need to make magical whiskey? Whiskey could just be a thing.
Yeah,
It doesn't
already
all
magical.
have to have a fucking qualifier.
Pixie vodka. Fuck off.
it's here. Have some Phoenix piss.
Is that alcohol? No, it's just Phoenix piss.
Have a little troll rum. This looks a lot like jizz.
Well, you didn't get the fast pass. This is what you get.
Oh, all right. So last one, just X Factor. Any great standout moments, memories, thoughts, things that happened around a theme park? Bits that you were like, that's cool as shit, etc., etc. Things that didn't fit into our categories that we've talked about so far.
I think what separates a proper amusement park from just a good fairground is it's just the general layout of the place and the decor and atmosphere and theme, and the way in some places you can kind of just walk around a corner and be surprised by something that isn't necessarily big or showy, but is kind of just a little bit personal and magical. I think it was Disneyland, it might have been Universal Studios, where there was just a window, and beyond it was like this treasure sort of thing, a big pile of gold, and there was a lamp in there. And if you just stood there for a while, there'd be a hologram of a genie came up. And it wasn't like come and queue to see this. It was just like a little thing that you walked by and saw, and it was a little bit special and fun.
Based on rights ownership, I'm gonna guess that happened to you at Disney.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, nobody else is allowed to use genies.
I mean,
yeah.
I'll say last time the family and I went down to Virginia, we did King's Dominion and Busch Gardens in subsequent days, and if you're doing that much amusement park, you're generally gonna assume that something's gonna go wrong. But it was just 2 perfect days of really nice weather, no lines, everything open, and it was just a really nice time. It was one of those nights where you went home back to the hotel and you were tired, but it wasn't a pissed off tired. It was just we had fun tired, and yeah, that was just a lot of fun.
I got nothing.
I don't
King's
know.
Weiner.
Yeah. I do not know if this is a thing anymore. Like I think back to it, I'm like, this has to be my youth tinging the memory. Like, it can't really have been the way I remember it, but to the best of my recollection, there was a point where a corporation that I had some affiliation with, be it through like a parent or a friend, um, rented rented Astroworld, like just for their company to do like a private full-on event for a day, which seems in fucking sane to me. Like the amount of revenue that would
Yeah.
be. But I guess that was a different time and it was a smaller park, maybe. But I don't know whether it was truly just that one corporation or so desolate it felt that way. That was an insane fucking time. Like having a full park to yourself, walk onto whatever you want, etc. That shit makes you feel like a god.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Nice.
Now, if only there were some poor people here for me to piss on.
That's the ultimate flash pass. You just don't let the poor people in the park.
It's just a wire fence so they can see you having a great time.
Yeah, they're on the old timey. They're just like trying to they're putting their kids on a girder and watching it go up and down.
You know, in my hometown, for a while after the steelworks closed, everybody pinned their hopes on something called Wonderworld. They were going to build a park here and it was going to save the town. It never happened, but I can imagine that's what it would have ended up like. This really fancy park that everyone else in the country can afford to go to. And all these Corby kids just sitting outside the fence going, fuck you guys.
Yeah, there's one of those outside of New Orleans. They tried to make Jazzland, and now it's just this skeletal, like, uh, ghost of an amusement park that you drive by on the interstate and feel sad.
There's videos of people like breaking in to explore that place, and it's creepy as shit. And yeah, if I were braver, that seems like a fun thing to do, but no fucking way.
Yeah, I was going to say, considering Slaughter on Giggle Time Mountain there, I can't see you wanting to like maybe do that.
Oh, I mean that was born because I love the idea of exploring an old abandoned amusement park, but there's no way. Like just the natural risks, the wolves and shit. I'm like, I'll pass. Then you get into like I don't know, transients, murderers, random people who've set up evil killing schemes. Hint, hint, plug.
It's a shingles, but come by it. Let's not rely on subtlety here, Drew.
That's what Shingles is known for. Subtlety. Oh, goodness. All right. Does anybody have any closing amusement park thoughts?
What about worst time you've had at an amusement park?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I'm going to tell you guys a story that probably sums up the entire development of my personality, and it happened in an amusement park. We went on this riverboat cruise thing, so I'm guessing this was probably Disney World again. And as we were getting off, there was one of those gates that if you don't hold it, it swings back. And I used to get lost a lot as a kid because I was a quiet kid in a big family. This used to happen like fairly frequently. And so I held this gate and I didn't want to let go of it because it would have swung into somebody. And I thought, this is a huge line coming out and we are right ahead of it. And I thought, well, somebody will take the gate at some point. And no one did. And I was just holding this gate and watching my family kind of walk away and then holding the gate and looking at the queue. And I thought, well, I guess I just live here now.
6 years later.
It was fortunate. I kind of like, eventually sprinted in what I hoped was the right direction. And they kind of like, oh, well, there you are. They'd only just realized I was missing, even though they'd walked a really long way away from me. But, yeah.
Kevin!
Yeah, that was kind of that was a depressing realization about some strange social limitation within myself. So, yeah, that was a bad experience. I should have just let the fucking gate swing into a fat guy and say, that's life, motherfucker. But, no, I didn't. I just stood there like a fucking idiot.
I worked at I worked at Great Adventure in the late '80s when they had their shooting on Easter Sunday, which pretty much was the reason they changed the entire security system at the park. At that point, they they made it. I think that was pretty much the incident that caused parks to start putting like metal detectors everywhere and shit. And it was weird. It was an Easter Sunday, and it was just the angriest fucking crowd at this park. Like you would think, okay, hey, Easter's that either you go to your family or you don't go to your family and go have fun. But no, everybody at this park was just angry as shit. And I'm like 15 at this point, so it's like, manning a stand on my own. And I'm just thinking to myself, at any point, somebody's just going to jump over this counter and just beat the shit out of me for no other reason than they don't like my face. And yeah,
I mean,
you
were in Jersey, so that's not entirely unreasonable.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that the shooting did occur, it wasn't really that surprising because it was just like, it was like that day was just somehow the entire park was like a powder keg.
Christ's rising pisses me off.
The dead should stay dead.
I had money on the Romans, motherfucker.
Carrying them grudges. Yeah. Bevan, any weird?
I
don't think I got to top that.
The worst thing I can think of was that long line I stayed in 2 summers ago, and it sounds kind of petty now that Rick was shooting.
Yeah, I feel bad now. My kind of moment of self-loathing. No one.
Well,
died.
yours came before that.
Oh, Jesus
though.
Christ! Yeah. It's not like I'm talking about. It's like, yeah, I lost both kidneys that day. And technically, nothing actually happened to me. It was just an angry crowd.
Well, there was a shooting.
Well, yeah, but they weren't shooting at me. At that
That's
I know
all
of.
the best.
You're fucking selfish.
What a twist it would be. They were after Rick the whole time. They were just very bad at it.
I hate that guy's face.
I got a knock on the door. I've been hunting you since Easter Sunday, motherfucker.
Dismiss me while I've got a Slurpee on my head, will you? It's the ironic.
Every time Rick gets shot at, I think that was meant for me.
Man, my bad times at an amusement park, it's always the same bad time, just repackaged and skinned in a different way. It's me looking at a ride going, all right, I bet that one's not too bad. And then me walking off going, oh, Jesus, no. God, take me. Take me now. Fucking dead. It happens almost every time. After the Harry Potter one, I just full on stopped riding rides. I was like, no, I have the Good Place thing that I actually care about. I'm not gonna let this bullshit fuck me up. And oh god, it's always something, man. The Everest Escape or Rock and Roller Coaster or Harry Potter World or what? Something's gonna take me down, and I love them anyway.
Yeah.
Alrighty, folks. Well, that has been our takes on amusement parks and rides. Hopefully, it was a fun ride for you. Ha ha. I'm not sorry. That was the Six Flags jokes, baby.
Should have bought a fast pass.
Should I? Yeah. You should have gone somewhere better. Six Flags. So, things didn't work out with Disney, huh? Oh god, I've probably spent more time in a Six Flags than any other park for all the shit I'm talking because they are closed.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere, and it's like, I mean, they have good rides. It's just there's something about it that just screams, "Hi, welcome to Six Flags. We don't give a shit about you. Just put a lot of money in our coffers."
It's the Olive Garden of theme parks. Like, it's technically running and things work okay, but, like, nothing about it is ever going to impress or amaze you.
Aw.
I like the salad.
I go for the unlimited breadsticks.
Ugh.
Yeah,
we
totally.
all go for the unlimited breadsticks.
It's running okay, but nothing's ever going to impress or amaze you. It's
Yeah.
basically my proposal to my wife.
All right. Well, we hope you have all had an amusing time. Yeah, there we go. I took it up to a universal level.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us. I've been Drew. Joining us is Rick, Steve, and Robert Bevan. Thank you all. We'll be back next week with a regular episode of Authors and Dragons. Until next time, bye.
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 Bye.